Okay. Hello, Bullet. So I'm finally doing the album listening for the dissection of Eve album for G22. So I just saw like that they had like an actual it's a visualizer, but it actually has every song on the album and also like with lyrics. So like okay, very helpful for me to like be able to either like do like a little deep dive in what they're trying to like talk about, or like if it's gonna be like, kind of seeing what it ends up being within the realm of like their whole concept of being of woman empowerment. But yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and start. And I do know that they have Palaban in here, and then they do have I believe Filipina Queen as well in this album. But I don't know if I think I'm gonna end up maybe just I don't know if I should just skip it or should I just keep it in here, because I already have heard both of them, and I'm like have already done like a little bit of like my take on what those are about, which I probably will just put at the end card if you guys haven't already watched those MV reactions or like lyric reactions for those two. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and watch y'all. Also, it has the La Kumpake like too, because I didn't watch I didn't go back and watch the MV with the lyrics because they knew how to. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, so basically people like. Oh yeah, some people were in the comments of my like MV reaction, intro reaction, telling me about like what the meaning of La Kumpake was, because they didn't have lyrics when I watched it, or captions, or subtitles. So it's giving very much like people like judging them and like coming for them, but they're like, we're not gonna let that get in the way of like what we're trying to like do with our music and like our dream and their views. And it's like also kind of giving like, yeah, like people waiting to like for your downfall. They're like trying to be like, oh, we're like gonna overcome that and not let it get in the way. Oh. Yeah. Jess's part though. Okay, this will be the first song I haven't heard from this. Ooh. Oh. Is this not gonna be in English? Oh, okay. Know that. I love the guitar, like in the back of the song, like the melody. No, there's a little bit of Tagalog, okay. Ooh! So far, it seems like more of like there are like some like themes of like them talking about like don't let anyone like be yourself in like a relationship is what it's giving a little bit, but then also like it just being more about like fun and not so like much about like the concept that, you know, just like to like have fun, but like within like being yourself and not letting anyone like change that. Ooh, the guitar part. Okay, someone said this is like they really like this song, and I was like, okay, so I'm expecting it to be like hard, to go off hard. I feel like. Hey. Hey. Hey, come on, AJ. Oh, they're like, be humble and stay true to your roots, y'all. Hey. Hey. For me, this was so far like kind of feeling like a little bit of like a reprise, not really reprise, but like kind of like how Bang was. Ooh. Hey. Hey. Oh! Hey. Okay, I have things to say about this song. I see why people are like. It reminds me a lot like of Bang. I don't know why. I think it's just because like the meaning of like also them talking about like the ready aim shoot. Obviously, like from that song, like I just that always like I always reminded of that song because of that. But then the actual meaning behind the song, like I know Super Saiyan is kind of like related to like Dragon Ball Z, which like I obviously have not like really watched. I just know it's from that, like a reference to that. But I think they're doing it in the like, you know, kind of talking about it in the way that it's like, oh, like talking about like, you know, them being like female warriors and that like, oh, like they have gone through so much through like their whole entire like career as a group to get to the point where they're at. And they're like there's lyrics in here that's saying like, oh, like even though we're going far, we're like still trying to like we're remembering where we came from, like we're still like humble in that aspect, but like we're still gonna keep like, you know, keep running towards like our dream and like our message, and like not letting anyone get in the way of that, and like staying strong and staying like on top of business as what it was very much giving. um One thing I will say, like AJ, oh my god, like her in the rapping, like I love her voice, like in general, like for like whether it's rapping or like singing. But like the intensity, I forgot like how fast she raps is insane. I was just like shook. I was shook. I was like, because I know she has done it, but like that was like a lot of dialogue to go off, and I was just like, wow. I was like impressed, very impressed. I'm just like very much was giving me like Yoongi from BTS vibes with like how fast he like raps as Augustine. I was just like, wow. But yeah, so like I definitely see why people were like saying this is like like one of their favorite songs, because it just like I feel like this one is very much like I said, very much them in that like talking about like the female like warrior aspect of like being like, you know, proud of like what they've created and like what their message is and staying on top of that, but also being like, oh, like it wasn't easy like to get to the point where we're at. Like we did go through like our ups and downs, and like we have, you know, let that, you know, learn from that, and like also like having that experience has molded us into who we are, and like it has only made us stronger in that aspect. So like that's what the message I got from that. But okay, we're gonna move on to the next song. I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Okay.
Sa'kin ikaw lang ang alagaan. Pwede bang sumama? Doon tayo tutungo sa kung saan tayo masaya. Pero nagbago isip, ouch. Naging mas malamig ka pa sa brr, ow. Gulong-gulo na isip ka, parang kagabi lang magkaya ka pa. Kung ikaw at ako, pagtatakbo
Aww.
di ko maramdaman. Dapat papatuwa na bang hakan? Ikaw at ako, bakit ka biglang nagbago?
So this is like song about like falling out of love.
Sabihin mo lang para ika'y mabitawan. Kung ikaw at ako, kung ikaw at ako.
I do like this like a little bit of like R&B kind of vibe. It's one of my favorite like genres.
Kung ikaw at ako, magtatagpo ba sa dulo? Ba't di ko maramdaman? Dapat ba ito na panghawakan? Take it slow, slow.
I feel like it's also like supposed to be continuing on from like Groove On, because Groove On was kind of like that, also kind of like a love like song in a way.
And as low is all that I thought.
Hey.
Going, but I guess you just got caught. Be mine, that's why.
like this, like, because I feel like for them, we haven't really heard them, or like from what I remember, I haven't really heard them like have love songs like a lot. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but like from what I remember, because it's been a minute since I've like listened to like other like a lot of their discography. So I think it's a nice contrast, like with it being like within, because you know they are still like, you know, women, girls at the end of the day. So like, you know, they do feel like those emotions of love, even though like they do have that image of them being like having woman empowerment and like female warrior and all that. But you know what they like, you know, a woman has different sides to her. So it's like, you know, there's a sensitive side, and then there's also like the very like strong, like charismatic side. So very much like falling out of love song with the other one. Okay. Ooh. I'm just hiding behind my Oof. This is giving me kind of Whitney Houston vibes. I don't know why. Is this song gonna be like about vulnerability? Ooh, come on, AJ. Oh, I love a good violin. I love a good ballad, so like I like the song already. Cause y'all don't know, but like Baba Leak, like I listened to the heck out of that song because I love that like ballady kind of like dreamy sound. Oof. Ooh. So it's very much like the heartbreak song. Like I said, showing different sides of like a woman, I feel like is what they're trying to do with this album. We're like very much like the female warrior that they always talk about, but then like the part that like always just wants to have like fun or like be passionate, and then also like the, you know, the side that like loves and very sensitive, and then here like the vulnerability. It kind of reminds me of this Thai song. Ooh, because I really like a ballad.
Love is connection. I think when we yearn for love, we're longing for connection. And love is things you do despite how you feel. You cannot explain love.
I like how they're adding like these little like messages of what they like, their version of what love is.
The sacrifice, even if that sacrifice is I will always put you first, even though I know it hurts. You have bullets for your words, still I'll be here at your worst. It's a blessing and a curse.
Ooh.
I keep preaching through the cold for the warmth you never showed. But you was up very tall, your silence says it all. Still I'm waiting for your call. Seems that I don't have the scars that you do. Wish that I didn't care, but I do. It hurts the most, I care the most, with or without you. It sucks to know you didn't show the love I need from you. It takes a toll, it's getting all that I chase after you. But laging along my core.
I do like this, like I said, this like R&B kind of vibe that they're giving us in this album. I love it. Or like the more chiller, like, you know, mellow or like.
Broke myself to fit your heart. Try to find a missing parts. These two pieces on the ground, and you never turn around. Screaming but without a sound. That I don't have the scars that you do. Wish that I didn't care, but I do. It hurts the most, I care the most, with or without you. It sucks to know you didn't show the love I need from you. It takes a toll, it's getting old that I chase after you. But lying alone, my core, the promise is broken. Words were unspoken. I couldn't love all with the tears of it. Pain is my armor. Hope is my anchor. Know that in my heart that you are Seems that I don't have the scars that you do. I see it now, more and more from your view.
It's giving kind of like, you know,
I'll love the same, I will remain
like the innocent kind of like love you experience sometimes, like where you like want to believe like the person is like good and you know that they have their issues, but you still like look past it because like you feel like you love that person, so like you let it slide. But like it's also like it also affects you as a person whenever it's like that. It's giving very much that, but so it's more so like also kind of like in a way like selfless kind of love, where like you put the other person's needs first instead of your own, because like you like always make excuses for them. That's what it's giving. But okay, did I think I ended up did I think I did Filipina Queen, like the actual, so I already know what the lyrics are for that, so I'm not gonna be doing that song because I didn't do Palaban or Filipina Queen because I have them my own, like I already have done videos on those two and I kind of think talked about what they were about. But okay, so as a whole for this album, so I was like, I was expecting it to go somewhere else because like they did have a like Super Saiyan was very much like and also like Filipina Queen and Palaban were very much like, and Lukampake were very much like in that realm of it being like more like that you know warrior kind of like mindset, like woman empowerment, you know, and then also like, you know, talking about like how like, but like, you know, pride being, you know, a Filipino woman, like, and the pride for they have for their country as like as also for them being in the group was what Filipina Queen was about. Lukampake was like I said, and a lot of you were telling me that it's like, oh, it's them, you know, not listening to like what people are saying like about them and like focusing more so on like what's ahead of them and like them as a group, and like that is what that one is about. Obviously Palaban was like also kind of like that same, like, you know, as, you know, being like that woman like warrior kind of like vibes of being like strong, you know, and like having that empowerment. And then like the rest of it was like really a surprise to me. I was not expecting it to go towards like also talking about like topics of like love and like that. But you know, it's what I mentioned in the other, in the middle of one of the songs where I was saying like, oh, like I like that they're like not just solely like, because it is like the album is called Dissection of Eve, and you know, like I said, I'm not very religious, so I don't know much about the story except for like, you know, like the basic thing of like, oh, like she was created for Adam, and like, you know, it was like then she ended up getting like punished because she like ended up taking like the forbidden fruit and like ended up having to like get like have the first child, and that was like the whole reason like why, you know, women get pregnant and so forth, like religious you know, in that perspective, right? So like for here, like I think I like how they not really like talked about that, but they were more so like talking about like women in general and like the different sides of a woman, because you know like we are vulnerable, but we can also be like very strong, very like empowered, very like confident. But then there's also, like I said, there's also like the vulnerability that comes with that. There's also like the like me like us wanting to like love people, like love people, and like put sometimes put those people first. Like I think that's why people always like view women as like, you know, like some people like view women more so as like very like weak in that manner, because they say that like women are very like, oh, like they're for like always like put are very like weak, and when it comes to like love and stuff like that, you know, because like in sometimes, you know, not all the time, but like everyone, there's people like there's, it doesn't matter like what gender you are at all, to be honest. Like it can go both ways. Like there are people who like are like that, like, you know, that, you know, love is like blinds them, and that they're like, oh, they put that person's needs in front instead of their own. But I feel like, you know, they kind of went around the like, they kind of put it in that perspective of like Eve in her mindset of like, oh, like maybe feeling like, because, you know, like she was like a mother, so like motherly love is one thing, but also like, you know, self love, or like self, like being selfless in love, you know, and talking about like how like I said, very much putting the person's needs instead of your own. But then it also kind of affects you as well, because like you don't look out for yourself, you're looking out more for that person. So like different, like I said, very different aspects of like women in general, like because like I said, it's not just about like us being like one certain like stereotype of like how people like view women in general as a gender. It's like we have different sides to us. Like there are, like I said, it's very much like, oh, we can be empowered, we can be confident, we can be like very charismatic. Like it's not like we're not weak, you know, we're not like, you know, set in that way, like, oh, we're like we can't do the same things as men can do. So it's very much giving like, you know, that, and like the whole dissection of you is, I think, is what they named it like that, because it's like, oh, you know, trying to like I said, not really like talk about her like as like in a religious way. Like I think you could, you know, try to, but like in here is more so as me like the way I see it is like, you know, saying like doing Eve, because like she was like the first like woman in like religious aspect, like historically, if you want to say it that way. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt, because I'm not religious at all, but like, and then putting like adding her name to this to like, you know, try to like not like, it's not really like not stereotyping like women all as like being Eve, but like kind of like, because she is like the first like woman in terms of like the Bible to like exist. So then like that's like the basis of like the rest of womankind, if that makes sense, and kind of like trying to see it through that way, where like, oh, we can all relate to being like, oh, like we are Eve, like every single like, you know, woman, or like any person. And like I said, it doesn't have to be gender like specifically. It's just like it could be anyone can see themselves in the eyes of like Eve through this album, and like the different kind of like I said, very much different like topics that they talk about, where it's like they still have like their women empowerment, but there's that more like softness, and there's that more like um that more vulnerable side that you know, people have, not just women, like if that makes sense. But I think it's also like tackling it to like be like trying to challenge that like perspective, like that, like I said, that stereotype that women are like weak, but then, you know what I mean, like how their whole concept is about like empowerment, and like being like, oh, like, you know, we can do anything. It doesn't have to be like that like one gender is better than the other, or like, you know, try not to break those like they're those gender norms, right? So like it's very much giving that. So like I like that it was different in that take, because I was like, I didn't know what to expect, especially because I was trying to avoid some of y'all's comments, because I know some of y'all like were going full on depth on the like intro and the MV for Lukan Pake, and I hadn't like listened to the rest of the songs, and some of y'all were already like describing to me like what the meaning, and I was like, oh, like I just like, so that's why if you didn't see me comment or like heart, or I might have just hearted it, but I did not read any of it, because I was like, oh, this is a spoiler for me for when I finally do like watch the like or listen to the album, because like I haven't listened to the rest of the album. I only have listened to like Balaban, I have listened to Filipino Queen, and then obviously Lukan Pake was the MV I watched in that. So those three I had heard, so I already know what those three are about. But the rest of the songs I did not know where it was going, so I was like, okay, let me just avoid all of that. So I kind of wanted to do like, you know, have my own take on it without like having those like already like set perspectives of other people. So, but this is so yeah, this is what I think. This is very much giving. Like I said, it's very Super Saiyan also was also very much like woman empowerment, but also like talking about like them as a group and like their like going towards their dreams. So, like I said, very much like having ambitions, right? But anyways, I think this is where I'm gonna end this off. Y'all let me know like what you think of like my take, or like I don't know, like I just kind of like I said, I wasn't expecting it to go like the way it did with the album, like, but I really do like the songs a lot. Like I said, I'm very much like I love a good like R&B kind of song, and I like that it wasn't so much like super like hardcore with like the because like how Bang was very like hardcore, and also like Balaban was very much like it's like fun, but it's also very like upbeat. But here was like more like the other B-sides were more like mellowed out, like aside from Super Saiyan, and like Groove On was a little bit like more like that. But you know what I mean? If that makes sense. So like it was nice like to see like a the different kinds of like music they decided to put in this album, being their first like full on album for the group. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I shall see you in the next one.